Woogie, play that shit.
Jello Beats, holla at 'em.
NBPP, ain't BPP. I'm telling y'all, no win with a lawyer, so don't ask me. I know y'all are Moors, just ask General Khalid. The general said he's a Moor. NBPP won't take heed. Your greed for his name, fame, got you skunk drunk. You never pull the trigger, just pose with the shotguns pumped. Waiting and hating, showing no love, but you're showing bacon. Licenses for ID at the police station. On top of that, no rights reserved on the contract. Dirty Moors finesse masters use old leaders to con cats. Show their picture but won't use their best quotes. Only use the ones to bring in fiat notes from scapegoats. Kwame Toure's wife even wore a fez at their wedding. A snicker at Snick and all black organizations begging. Walking with limbs peg-legging. These conscious pirates, fake freedom warners, get no ratings when I'm irate. Conscious. 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 Sarnetta sat down with Taj Bey one-on-one. Suit and Yeti is my target, Aleem Bey is my gun. All I do is crush a lot truth. My big pun and Fat Joe falling on you 50 feet below. Mike Fatso, Mark conscious coons, frauds up with my firing squad. Tugging at emotions hard like sleeping, pulling a quad. Larry's no professor, show me some doctorate degrees, son. We'll listen to I'm African crap until I see one. I'm not asking for much, cause I give more than I ask for. Moorish MC, lay it down hot like asphalt. I won't cool though, some call me Fool Joe. Trying to get under my skin, you must be a Negro. Old foe gets skull slow, lashed with a tongue strap. Conscious coons wanna be Gay-Z and make a comeback. Not on my watch, flow till time stops. Left and shot cause the rhyme doc. Open up your mind blocks. Conscious. 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 Conscious.
Marcos Nazraoui. I'm from the Bay Area, California. I've been listening and watching for a minute. You've heard me on here before. I just want to ask a question. There's a two-part question. Okay, and this is kind of predicated on what Polite was putting out with the memorandum. You know, the memorandum, I forget the name of the number. But basically the idea that us as Africans in America are separate from Africans on the continent. Now, speaking of Moors, I watched them and I listened to all these cats, Todd Street Bay. I watched all the videos I could the last couple years. And I always hear them say, Moor is short for Moroccan, right? That's one of the explanations I hear. Moor is short for Moroccans, or we're Moroccans, blah, blah, blah. Well, Moroccans don't claim us at all. Neither does the larger Islamic world claim the Nation of Islam, Farrakhan, or the Moors, Noble Drew Ali, or none of that. Now, we as African Americans in the diaspora, in America especially, we can look today and we can see people practicing Islam in West Africa, in Senegal, in Mali, all over West Africa, right or wrong?
Ask your question, brother.
My question is, what do the Moors have to do with the real nature of African Islam as it pertains to people on the continent today practicing it from the time when it was established there without Arab influence or otherwise? How do we make those connections, and why don't the Moors have branches of their Islam? If they're so connected to this ancient Moorish Moroccan empire, where is their connection with that empire now? In Timbuktu, where the Boko Haram are taking over all of our literature that's in those Sankore and all the other universities out there. Where is the music with Moors? I hear these Moors talk all this shit. Where is your music? That is the one thing we brought to the Europeans that they can't take from us. But I don't hear none of y'all talking about playing the ancient instruments, showing any of the ancient culture. You talk all this legal shit, but where's the African culture? Because all this Moorish shit ain't never taught me nothing about Africa at all. They keep you in a paradigm stuck in America. So what I'm saying is there's the Malake Islam, right? There's other forms of Western African Islam that were deposited there. They perfected it, and are now just now being interrupted by Arab and otherwise Western influences. What I'm saying is, where is the solidarity between us over here and our real West African Islamic brothers in Senegal, Mali, and all the other West African, and Nigeria and all the other places? Where's the solidarity? Where is your reference point as a Moor outside of Morocco to West Africa? Because I'm tired of the Morocco shit.
All right, my brother.
Go ahead and take that and see what you can do with that.
All right,
We have to realize, as thinking people, we have to realize that hypocrisy is at its heights right now. Hypocrisy is at its heights. And when you relate Moors to schools of thought, know that for some Moors, being a Moor is life. It's not a school of thought that we belong to, join to some temple. Right? It is a way of life. Islam, to pardon the interjection, they're always bringing it. But yes, for some Moors, being a Moor is not going to a temple or being part of a temple. For some Moors, being a Moor is a way of life. This is not something you could put on today, go to bed, and then you take this off, change your clothes, have shower and stuff like that. This is bloodline. You can choose to call yourself black if you want to, but calling yourself black is not a fact. Calling yourself black is a fiction. And when you hear people calling, right, we're gonna show people how incompetent they are. That don't try to call in shows and get hype, because you're obviously a fool. So we're gonna go to Noble Drew Ali, because Noble Drew Ali is a messenger from the ancestors, and the messenger from the ancestors came and told all you people that you're not Negro, black, and colored, and you're gonna say you're black, and you expect the ancestors to honor you and have some respect for you. So this is what Noble Drew Ali told all you Negro, black, colored people that want to think this is some religious group, organization, corporation, when this is a way of life. The divine origin of the Asiatic nations. The divine origin of the Asiatic nations. The fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation of North America need to learn to love instead of hate, and to know of his higher self and lower self. This is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca for teaching and instructing all Moorish Americans, etc. The key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations. The Moorish, who were the ancient Moabites and the founders of the holy city of Mecca. The Egyptians, who were the Hammatites and of a direct descendant of Mizraim. The Arabians, the seed of Hagar, Japanese and Chinese. The Hindus of India, the descendants of the ancient Canaanites, Hittites and Moabites from the land of Canaan. The Asiatic nations and countries in North, South and Central America. The Moorish Americans and the Mexicans in North America. Brazilians, Argentinians and Chileans in South America. Colombians, Nicaraguans and natives of San Salvador in Central America, etc. All of these are Muslims. The Turks are the true descendants of Hagar, who are the chief protectors of the Islamic creed of Mecca, beginning from Muhammad I, the founder of the uniting of Islam by the command of the great universal God Allah. So the Asiatic nations of the world, from the Moorish to the Egyptians to the Hindus to the Chinese to the Japanese, all of them are one family, and collectively they're known as Moors. Dr. Ben, your scholar, who you just did your little ritual, claim you honor him, in his book told you that Africans, Asians, and Arabs are Moors. The book with the orange cover with the Africa on it. You know which book it is. Just go check the book, because you have the reference. You guys say you want references. We're giving you a reference. Dr. Ben, the Egyptologist scholar, wrote a book who all you guys rep. And in his book, he said that Asians, Africans, and not just Asians, Africans, Asians, Africans, and Arabs are Moors. That's Dr. Ben. There's a reference. Go check. And when you see the reference, what are you going to say after that? You're not Moors? Because Dr. Ben said that you're Moors. Whether you're African, whether you're Arab, or whether you're Asian. And Noble Drew Ali came, echoed the exact same thing. Or was Dr. Ben echoing Noble Drew Ali? Just like John Henry Clark echoed Noble Drew Ali and told you people, that's your scholar, he told you that black is not a nationality. Stop calling yourself stupid stuff. John Henry Clark, who you guys rep? Videos on YouTube. But they'll never play that. Why won't they play that? Why won't they play John Henry Clark telling you that black is not a nationality? You can't be black. Calling yourself black is stupid. John Henry Clark told y'all. But you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that. We are Moors. There's some Moors that call themselves black. Some Moors that call themselves chematologists. There's some Moors that call themselves Moors. There's some Moors that call themselves Nuwapian. There's some Moors that call themselves Washita. There's some Moors that say black power. There's some Moors that say Reiki. Some Moors say martial arts. But regardless, they're all Moors. If they're dark-skinned people. Now, we're going to go to Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. The inhabitants of Africa. So all you people who claim that you're from Africa, you are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites. Whether you want to accept that or not, that's up to you. Old Man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa. Oh, so if you say that you rep Cush, which is also Kemet and Nubia and Timbuktu and all that other stuff, then you're part of Cushites, who were the first inhabitants of Africa. This is Noble Drew Ali. So you can't say Moors have a problem with Africa. We have no problem with Africa. His father Ham and his family was second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Amexem, the first true and divine name of Africa. And then don't believe what I say, and don't go online, go to a library and look up stuff that Moors tell you. Don't Google, don't be a fat boy. Get up, Lazarus, and go to the library and pull off some of those books in there about the Moors. Any library, pick one, and just go to a library for a day. Take a day and go to the library and research the Moors and see how much stuff you find. Stop getting lazy. Couch potato, just on the goddamn internet all the time. Not even reading the books that you have on your shelf. Now you say you honor people. You don't honor them. You don't honor them. Shut up. You don't honor them. I don't hear nothing you have to say. The dividing of the land between father and son. The dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. In later years, many of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. Northwest Africa, that's where all you slave people say that you come from. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. So everybody who says that they're a slave and black power and they come from West Africa and they come from North Africa and they come from, really and truly, you're a possessor of the Moroccan Empire. Are you going to make a claim, or are you going to keep playing that you're black people and give up your possession, which is the Moroccan Empire, which is letting you know that the only way that you're getting any type of rights or any type of respect from this enemy in mass is by having a nationality. If you don't have a nationality, don't worry. The ones who do know about nationality would continue to live comfortable without the stress of this so-called white man's heel always in the back of your head. Because you seem to like that position and don't want to get out of it. 60 years y'all marching with guns and never shot one European. That you have FBI investigating black power people. FBI is investigating black power people. Go check. Go Google that if you want to Google something. Google that. Right? And you're walking around parading, you got gun clubs and all that stuff, but you never once just pulled the trigger? Never, huh? Playing around. Don't let these people play you out of your birthright. You are Moors. You are a possessor of the present Moroccan Empire. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa, that people say Moors don't care about and Moors don't support Africa, across the great Atlantis, even onto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands before the great earthquake which caused the Atlantic Ocean. So letting you know that at one time there was no Atlantic Ocean. And if there was no Atlantic Ocean, that means Africa and America were one landmass. And if they were one landmass, that means when the ocean appeared because of the great earthquake, now you have two different land masses with water running in between them. And whoever was caught on whatever landmass, that's where they stayed till now. Unless they traveled back and forth, which we did. And it's the same people, same culture. Who are they? They are Moors. Some might say that they're Egyptian. Some might say that they're Hebrew Israelite. Some might say that they're black. Some might say that they're Aboriginal and indigenous. But they're Moors. But if they call themselves the tag and not Moors, then that's why stuff happens to you. It's real simple. And also remember, we're talking about the Pharaoh of Egypt giving permission to these people called Moabites to inhabit what is now the present Moroccan Empire. That's historical. Like we tell people, go to the library and look and see how many books they have in the library on the Moroccan Empire. And that when they say Morocco, they're talking about also the Americas, not just North Africa. The river Nile was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms. Also, the Niger River was dredged, and the great pharaoh of Egypt in those ancient days of trade, and it extended eastward from the river Nile westward across the great Atlantic. It was used for trade and transportation. Once again, Pharaoh comes up. And we have to ask ourselves, Moabites, who the Moors say that they're connected to, have had relations with pharaohs of Egypt. The only place that was ever told was George G.M. James' Stolen Legacy. Who you guys say that you rep, and you know that they assassinated him because he wrote that book telling you the secrets of where they stole the stuff. What he also told you in the book was that the Moors are the true custodians of African culture. That's why Obatala, which is African, Vodun, spiritual, not the Christianity stuff, the actual factual customs of African spiritual tradition. There's a force named Obatala, and he's supposed to be supreme. But Allah's in his name though. Because what you people think Islam is, because you're too busy listening to what United States Corporation is saying about Islam. You are totally out of the loop as far as what Islam is. And it has to be clear. It has to be clear that Islam is government. Islam is not some religion. Islam is a way of life, self-governance. It is not joining something and praying to something.
Now you see, brothers, I'm talking to my peers now, all over this Moorish paradigm. We condemn a lot of our community for not having a status. But some brothers and sisters have been saying it don't matter if you have a status or affairs, if you're a Moorish American. As the brother said, they just gonna pull out their gat and go rat-a-tat-tat. Well, you said, well, some of y'all wrote comments on YouTube under certain videos saying, use common sense. Brother man saw Bald Bay didn't have his fez on. That's what we said. This is Moors, Cananland Moors I'm talking about. Well, brother, if he had his fez on, the fact that they said to take his nationality off the table and call him a Negro, let you know right there, it wouldn't have made no damn difference.
So since that was addressed to Cananland Moors, right, we want to make something clear. One, we're not condemning our people. Our people condemn themselves by calling themselves a fiction and want to get respected when they're calling themselves a fiction. They condemn themselves. That has nothing to do with me or what I say or anything like that. Now, we're talking about Mansur Bal Bay still in the conscious community. This Moor that got shot, still talking about him. You know, good thing someone like myself, you know what I mean, I read what my prophet left me. And just to share with you something so you can really understand the perspective that active Moors come with. Not temple Moors who only go to who only wear fezzes when they go to their temple meetings. Not those kind of Moors. We're talking about active, civic-minded Moors. Once again, Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple, Moorish Holy Temple of Science. Just to show you, we have a reference point that we're going from. We're not talking from just our head. Right? We're clearing this up using what Noble Jew Ali brought. Death and Burial of Elizabeth, Matheno's Lessons, the Ministry of Death. When John was 12 years old, his mother died, and neighbors laid her body in a tomb among her kindred in the Hebron burial ground, and near Zachariah's tomb. And John was deeply grieved, he wept. Matheno said, "It is not well to weep because of death. Death is no enemy of man. It is a friend, who when the work of life is done, just cuts the cord that binds the human boat to earth, that it may sail on smoother seas. No language can describe a mother's worth, and yours was tried and true. But she was not called hence until her tasks were done. The cause of death are always for the best, for we are solving problems there as well as here, and one is sure to find himself where he can solve his problems best. It is selfishness that makes one wish to call again to earth departed souls. Then let your mother rest in peace. Just let her noble life be strengthening and inspiration unto you. A crisis in your life has come, and you must have a clear conception of the work that you are called to do." That's where active Moors come from with regards to death. So people playing this game about they shot a Moor, oh they shot a Moor, what? It's not that serious. Stop being spooky Negro Christians. Because the Holy Quran tells you that he went to do some better work. He's done doing his work here. He Enoched. Because his work was done here. To prove to people that regardless of what some goddamn European wrote in some article, the point of the matter is that they called him Mansur Bal Bay every single time. Whether they put black on it or not is irrelevant, because they put the Bay there. So obviously he's not black, even if they say black. Obviously he's not black if his name's Bay. Obviously, whether they say black or not. They could say nigger. His name's Bay. People have to stop playing around. Right? Sign. A crisis has happened so you can know what the hell's going on. And stop playing around. You got your FedEx on? Think that you're protected because you got a job, you better have your fez on or something representing your nationality, or you can get shot. You better have your Circle 7 pendant, Circle 7 ring, something to tie yourself to your nationality. You're not wearing no FedEx jacket and you don't have your Circle 7 pendant on or nothing like that. You got no crystals in your pocket, nothing. Because all the Moors that I know that wear fezzes, they don't get shot up. All the Moors that I know that wear fezzes and turbans, they're not getting shot up. They're not even in the jurisdiction of that happening. And again, we're going to stress the point that one Moor got shot and people are tripping about not being Moors. Millions of black people got killed by European, but you're willing to call yourself black still. A Moor got shot, so you're not going to be a Moor. But 1 million black people get killed, lynched, stomachs cut open, all that type of stuff, burned at the stake and all that. But you'll still be black people though. Hypocrisy is at its heights right now. Now again, with regard to Mansour Ball Bey, if they classified him as Negro, the question, the real important question, is how did they get that name, Mansour Ball Bey? How did they get the name? When they shot him in cold blood and assassinated him, how did they get his name? Did they go in his pocket? And if they did go in his pocket, what did they pull out? Did they pull out a license that said Mansour Ball Bey? Did they pull out a nationality card that says Mansour Ball Bey? Now let's play this out. Because you know that they have to identify the body. So they have to use some type of identification that they find on the body. Right? So either he had a license or some type of identification from the state, whether it's a work card or a paycheck or license, whatever. Or did they get a nationality card from his pocket? Or did they get both? And that will also determine why they would tell the reporter to take it out of the article. Because if Mansour Ball Bey was identified using a license, that means he's corporate property of the U.S. Corporation. Through the state, through the city of, through the whatever channels. That he had some type of instrument on him that tied him to the democracy. With Mansour Ball Bey on it. Which opens up a whole new thing now, because if he had a license with Mansour Ball Bey on it, then that means that the white man recognizes Moors. If he's going to let a Moor put Mansour Ball Bey on a license, which is the white man's stuff, the devil's stuff, then that means he recognizes that. So y'all got some issues that you need to deal with before you start talking BS about Cananland Moors and whatever. Because we're not these average Moors. We are studious Moors. We are active Moors. We are Moors who go to the police chief meetings. Like, we've been invited and declined. Because they're a private corporation. We don't even meet with them about nothing. They just need to be put on notice of our jurisdiction. Which they know and they're well aware of. You know, you call them. Ask them if they heard about Moors out here. And if they heard about us doing some criminality or some foolishness. Not wearing our fezzes. Only wear our fezzes in a temple. So again, Question has to be asked and answered. How did they identify him when he got murdered? Did they pull a license from him? Did they pull a nationality card? Did they pull both? But how did they get the name Mansur Bobby? Y'all not gonna ask that question. Y'all going, well, what does it mean to be a Moor? How's it gonna help a Moor get shot? Talking stupid. Not even asking any questions about this case that's going on. Which came out that he was an innocent bystander now? That he didn't even have nothing to do with the house or the gun or the drugs or nothing. He was just a guy going home from work. So there's no gun, so forget about him being in the video with the guns and stuff like that. All that doesn't matter now. Because he was an innocent bystander. He had nothing to do with that raid. 2 weeks y'all talking about this brother. Still. Right? Verifying that, you know, Moors must be a hot topic. Y'all talking about, still y'all talking about Mansur Bobby still? Trying to prove a point that Moors get shot. Black people are Moors. Moors been getting shot. But you won't say you're black or more. You'll say you're black, but you won't say you're black or more. You'll say you're black, black power, but you won't say black or more power.
Martin Luther King was instrumental in that Civil Rights Act, his movement, or that era of time called the Civil Rights era. But brothers and sisters, the Civil Rights Act was not designed for Moorish Americans. Now we tell a story. I won't name names, but there was a sister from way back in the days in the 1940s who she basically was on a train. I think it was a train. And this is before Rosa Parks. And she was a Moorish American. And the Europeans told her to go to the back. And she told them, I'm not Negro, black, or colored. They had a minor conversation. The European driver of that particular automotive, he called up the authorities. The authorities then boarded the train at the next stop, and she told them again, I'm not Negro, black, or colored. The first thing they asked her, according to the historical account, well, who is your Grand Sheik? And she named the Grand Sheik being Brother C. Kirkman Bey. Now, Brother C. Kirkman Bey had a phone conversation with the sheriff out there. The sheriff then got back on the vehicle and told the bus driver, the train driver, or the conductor, make sure she gets to where she got to go safe. Because she was not Negro, black, and colored.
What was her name?
I forget sister's name. And I don't...
If one wanted to go and look this information up, how do they go about doing that?
Moorish history.
Go to Moorish history. Okay.
Right.
Moorish history. So let's go to some Moorish history. Let's go to May 12th, 1936. Brother J. Davis Bey, in answer to your letter of March 24th in regard to Brother Givens L., now he is just like a lot of the others that didn't want to do what the Prophet told them to do. Left the grand body of which he was a member and went off and set himself up a temple with some of the weak members, just as C. Kirkman Bey and others have done and went up against the Prophet's law. If you will recall, there were the Prophet's general laws where he says, the evil spirits are moving and they are trying the weak minds to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice your utmost to protect your Prophet and your movement. You see that they have transgressed this law. There is nothing to Givens L. and Kirkman Bey, and none of the rest that went up against the Prophet's law. Kirkman Bey is not even a sheik, and I know what I am talking about, because I was a member of the temple number 1 when Kirkman Bey joined, and he was never made a sheik by the Prophet or Brother Mili Il, because there was no one else that the Prophet authorized to make sheiks. So all that you have to do is what the prophet told you to do. I know he didn't tell you follow Givens or Kirkman. So he's going to tell you some story to prove some Moorish crap about civil rights crap. When you don't even have to check anything, that's why Rosa Parks didn't move. Because they know that they weren't slaves. They weren't black people. Why should they move if they're not black? Well, the point of the matter is, don't be listening to no Kirkman Bay stories. Kirkman Bay is a fraud in the Moorish Science Temple of America. Anybody who says Kirkman Bay, know that they're tied to the frauds who took over Noble Drew Ali's seat after they assassinated him. And that's what it is. You want to know what the confusion is in the Moorish movement? Go find out who Mili Il is and read all of his letters that he wrote to the Moors when he was Supreme Grand Sheikh. And how come his Moors keep referring to Givens L and Kirkman Bay? How come he's always talking about them two people? How come? Right? Why are they coming up? Like, what's the purpose of these individuals coming up? You know? And again, we're talking about Moorish history. Right? Islam, my dear brother, I am agreeably surprised as well as glad to hear from you at this time. I have often wondered what happened to you. Now, speaking of Dove L, you didn't give much understanding as to what this party was doing or where he was operating, or who gave him his authority, if he acts on the lines of Islam. So find out what this brother is teaching, his right to do so, and who did he receive it from. Now the whole trouble is this. When I was on my way around to visit the Prophet's temples in August 1929, Kirkman Bey was made a Supreme Grand Advisor by a group of members secretly, and it was kept secret unbeknown to me what was on till we were ready to transact our regular business in the convention. Then they sprang this trick of making Kirkman head of the organization, which is a direct violation of the Prophet's laws and the Holy Quran according to chapter 10 verse 22. So let's just check chapter 10 verse 22. When man sees Allah as one with him, as Father Allah, he sees no middleman, no priest to intercede. When man sees Allah as one with him, as Father Allah, he needs no middleman, no priest to intercede. So I got to say about Kirkman Bey and whoever else trying to claim that they got some authority and cause all this confusion, and then now they have their minions there that are doing the dirty work of trying to prop their name up, bring their name up. We're active Moors. We're studious Moors. We know about the sellout. The reason why half these people out here don't want to say that they're Moors is because of the sellout. And they're looking at the sellout Moors and thinking that's what it means to be Moors.